Hello guys and welcome to a new Wargame Red Dragon video today by me Vulcan. Today I'm bringing you a 4 versus 4 on Cliffhanger, and well, today it's not really a 4 versus 4, it's actually a 4 versus 3 because one of the enemy team does in fact leave at the start of the game, but the thing is it's not so much of a detriment to the enemy because he left at the beginning, these points get shared, and because it's a 2v2 equivalent map, there isn't actually that much of a disadvantage to them playing with 3 players because, as you can see, the center sectors are 3, which basically makes it not so hard for them to play against us. Now, I must say that I'm sorry for not bringing content for the last week or so. I have in fact been working on my uni stuff, and some of you may know, I know that I mention it quite a lot, but basically that takes up the majority of my time, and therefore I have had to sort of put YouTube on the back burner for a little bit. Either way, that is mostly out of the way now, so I will be able to focus more on YouTube and bring out more frequent content from now on, which is a good thing, and hopefully you guys will enjoy that content and I will enjoy making it for you. So, without further ado, let's get into my forces. So I'm today using a Eurocorps deck. Now Eurocorps are one of the very powerful coalitions in Wargame Red Dragon, consisting of the French and Germans, and they have some of the most powerful units in the game. Now basically French and German prototypes can be very strong. So some examples are the Leopard 2A5, the Leclerc for tanks. Then we've got such things as the AMX-30 Roland 3s for AA and the Crotals, and also the Marder Roland 3s. And then for helicopters, for example, you got access to the Tigers and the Celtics and stuff, or the Celtics, however you want to say it. Either way, very powerful units, and in combination, the two forces come together really, really well. They complement each other amazingly. And that's something that I really wanted to show throughout the game, as well as some really good control gameplay where we take control of sectors and we hold them. Now, obviously it was harder for them to push back against us because less players, less strategic options, but in general, we just did a very good job of helping each other out throughout this game and sorting and attacking the enemy. So at the start, we've got Awesome Sauce bringing in some MB339CBs. These are napalm aircraft, which he was going to use to basically prevent the enemy rushing up to Gulf and into Echo. Then, meanwhile, on the left, we got Awesome Sauce's Eurofighter Typhoons dogfighting with the Su-27Ss. I've got a Rafale CF1 coming in and shooting down both of the Su-27Ss after we lose the rest of our forces. And I send it to go and help out Awesome Sauce's Eurofighter Typhoon and take out one of these J7Hs. Unfortunately, an Su-27M comes in and finishes that off. So, a bit of a cluster in the skies at the start of the game, but it allowed us to basically push up all our helicopters to secure Delta, Echo, and Foxtrot. Now, Jed uses a ground force, so he gets the Foxtrot a bit late, and I'm forced to send my Tiger HAP to go and take out some of the Mi-35s that advanced on the right. Now, meanwhile, on the left, we've got the advancement of some Mi-8 TVs. These are attacked by my Gazelle Celtic, and the Celtic does use up all its ammunition, but manages to shoot down a couple of forces before Captain manages to drop off his Javelin GL to shoot down the rest. You can see that the Tiger HAP with its 30mm cannon attacking these helicopters. Now I do retreat it so that Jed in the meantime can bring up his own forces to help out. And this PSAM with its infrared AA does help shoot down the last couple of units. So that helps us take control of Foxtrot. And meanwhile on the left, I managed to help Captain stop a push onto Delta. Now here you can see the range of the Crotal being 3,325 meters versus helicopters, managing to stop a Z5 from landing in Gulf. And they already had a Gulf captured, but it basically just made them get rid of that CV so they couldn't land it elsewhere, leaving it on 1 HP. In the meantime, I've dropped off my command infantry. I've placed them behind this hill, and they don't necessarily have to be hidden command infantry because they are classed as very small in terms of size, which makes them harder to spot and harder to hit. Now, basically, because they're behind a hill anyway, they are out of line of sight for the majority of the game, and it's very similar to 3 Mile Island on Wargame Land Battle, where I pointed out that you could hide units behind the cooling towers, and it would literally block all line of sight around them because you couldn't get in an angle to see them. And it's a similar thing going on with this hill, although potentially if you came down from Foxtrot you could see it, but knowing that Foxtrot is secure, it's going to be hard for the enemy to take advantage of that. So, Captain doesn't have a very good time when Warhead pushes up with 2 T-72B1s and a Tunguska M. I bring around my Tiger HAD to try and get into range to destroy these T-72s because we have just managed to take out the Tunguska that was following them up. But meanwhile, in the middle, 2 Su-27Ms come in alongside 2 MiG-27Ks. Now, I was really confused why the enemy decided to spam so many forces into the middle of the map, because they only managed to kill a couple of Fuchs Milans and not much else, and yet they lose a couple of their planes for doing so. So it was a really non-cost effective strike for them, which could have been coordinated a lot better with the use of better recon. So they had this Mi-2 here, which is a good start. If you actually look from Geordie's perspective, he can't see barely any of my forces. They can see the Crotel and the 2 Fuchs Milans. Fuchs Milans to me aren't that important, so I'm not too concerned about having them destroyed. Fuchs Milans are literally support vehicles that come with the Milan 2 squads, which I'm more worried about. And now on the left, you can see that I'm using my Tiger HAD and my Gazelle Celtic. The Gazelle Celtic managed to shoot down an Mi-24 VP, which you can see just crashed over here. Whoa, that was a bit dodgy with the camera. And then we got the Tiger HAD, which managed to kill both of the T-72s with its SACLOS anti-tank missiles. The enemy are starting to RT my position to soften up possibly for an attack, and I'm in the meantime bringing up some recon so I can see what's going on, and some Marder 1A3s with Panzer Grenadiers. Now over on the right you can see how cost effective these Fuchs Milans become very quickly when destroying 2 Buk M1s. Now, in fact, the Milan 2 squad in this building managed to kill one, while the Fuchs Milans managed to kill the other. On the left, we managed to shoot down the Mi-2 with the Celtic again. I drop off some Panzer Grenadiers into this building on the back side of Echo, just in case we get flanked over this ridge here. And then that way, if the enemy does come over, they will not be able to get to my command squad so easy. And after I've dropped them off, I decide to send them over the hill themselves in order to try and destroy anything that we find. I'm bringing up a nice cargo helicopter, and this is going to be used to resupply the AMX-30 Ronin 3. Because it has used up 4 of its radar missiles. Then we've got another Crotel coming up to replace the Crotel at the front as this one comes back to get repaired and resupplied. Over on the right, in the meantime, you can see I'm using my fullscreen to basically probe the enemy positions to see if they get shot at, and if not, basically it gives me an avenue of attack onto the enemy. Now they managed to get all the way up to this road before I turn them back, because they are actually reasonably useful. Although I don't care that I lose them because they only cost 20 points, they still are an effective unit to keep hold of for a thing that I like to call HGM deterrent. I've covered it before, and basically it's where you have so many HGMs that the enemy is too scared to push against you. Now with the use of my Crotals and the AMX-30 Roland 3, we managed to shoot down another SU. Meanwhile, we've got Awesome Sauce with his AS-90 British artillery, destroying 2 Book M1s that we had revealed with the use of my recon on this hill. So this is basically just a tiny jeep, doesn't matter that he's left out in the open, sitting on the side of this hill, scouting as much as we can see. You saw that I sent some Marder 1A3s to the left. Unfortunately, 2 of them get killed by a VDV squad, whilst these 2 unfortunately suffer the same fate, but to 2 BMD2s. Now, I already know that they're coming, so I'm trying to reverse as quickly as possible away from them. I've probably gone a bit straighter, but unfortunately, with their accuracy of these Conquer's missiles, 2 HGMs kill 2 Marder 1A3s, 1 hit apiece. Very, very good for the enemy there. So the enemy now bring in more air units, and I bring in 2 Tornado 1DSs, and the use of these was to bomb the infantry out of these towns. Unfortunately, one of the 1DSs gets shot down by a Book M1 sitting on this hill just here, and I've also had a Rafale in the skies in order to take out enemy air units that came to contest. So we set up a reasonably nice defensive line. You can see the concentration of units throughout the map, and it basically chokes the enemy, because we have these 3 sectors which we've spread out across, whereas they've got 2 sectors from which they're trying to attack from, and they aren't as spread out. So we always have the conal advantage onto the enemy, which makes it incredibly hard for them to push forwards. Now I do eventually lose this Tiger HAP to an enemy Tunguska, and you can see over on this hill my Leopard 2A5 that I brought forwards does in fact get hit by rocket artillery and is left panicked with 3 HP. But either way, because most of my units are either AA or infantry at this point in the game, there isn't much of a chance for me to push forwards. So the Marder 1A3s, again, were sort of like probing into India to see if we could do anything there, and then I brought up a Leopard 2A5 to push on to the same objective. Now, because it got artied, it basically left it redundant throughout the rest of the game, which is a bit unfortunate. But I really don't like camping. I think it's boring, and I enjoy games where people try and attack each other constantly, because it's much more interesting to watch, much more interesting to commentate on. And you can see that as they're pushing forward such things as this Mi-28, I am trying to use my AA offensively to take that out. Fortunately, this Mi-28 misses its first missile, doesn't miss its second though, as it manages to destroy my AMX Roland 3 before it gets another shot. Now that's the trouble with the AMX Roland 3s. They are basically very effective against enemy air, but not so much against enemy helicopters, because they don't reload fast enough in order to take them down. Now the Crotal, which came in as a replacement did manage to kill the Mi-28 very, very quickly, but unfortunately suffered the VDV fate of the 875 meter heat rocket. Not good. Captain's on the case though with 2 squads of SAS, and you see they're running directly towards these VDVs to face them off. Now at this point we are 80% towards the victory condition, as you saw when it just popped up. We are at a +3 advantage, so it's very likely that we're going to win at this point, and I'm just trying to get my troops into a position that I could push back on the enemy if I so needed to. So I managed to get the cargo over here in order to repair the Leopard 205 that got hit by the rocket artillery earlier on. I'm also trying to resupply these Fuchs-Milans, but trying to land the cargo next to them didn't quite work, so that didn't end up happening. Throughout the game, I focused incredibly heavily on AA, and because it's Eurocorps, the AA is very, very, very powerful. The enemy was using lots of air, so that was the natural response to that, and we were in a defensive position throughout the game, which meant AA and infantry were the way forwards. I would have liked to be a bit more offensive in this game, but due to the way it played out, it didn't allow for many opportunities in order to be aggressive. Speaking of being aggressive though, Captain does come in with 3 Hornets which he uses to bomb the left side. Then Awesome Sauce with some AS-1 pushes forwards towards T-80UM and some other light forces like the OSA and the ZTR. Now the Leopard AS-1s don't stand much of a chance against a T-80UM at close range, but where they outnumber them, it does work out pretty well. Also on the left, Aardvark comes in, and that caused that huge explosion that you just saw. So I would say in some ways that the 3-player disadvantage for the enemy may have affected their ability to attack, but here you can see the enemy puts a last-ditch attempt into the centre with some Mi-4AVs and some Mi-24s. Even though these Mi-24s do get close due to my Crotel being out of line of sight, it just eventually gets shot down by an AMX-30 Ronin 3 with the help of these Rima and Milan 2 squads. The Mi-4s also get shot down by the Shujo Han and some Hachi Kayushikis. Yes, bravo for the good old South Korean and Jap names. But there we go, guys. That is game. Now, surprisingly, I got the largest amount of kills in this game. I didn't expect to at all, because it was so static throughout the game. I didn't really see many of my forces get kills, but when you think about it, when things such as Fuchs-Milans get kills onto Book M1s, it's very, very cost effective and does give you a lot of points worth of kills. Also, when your AMX-30 Ronin 3s are shooting out SU-27s, that's also an idea that you're going to get a lot of points from that due to those planes costing like 170 points each. So either way, did extremely well. So I got 2,495 kills to 810 losses. Jed did equally as well with 1,400 kills to 590 losses. That was just him securing the sector on the right. Then we've got Captain, who pushed forwards very well with 1,710 kills to 450 losses. And Awesome Sauce, who basically supported us all throughout the game, got 685 kills to 440 losses. Now on the enemy team, you can see the points there. But yeah, a very interesting game. It really showed off the power of the Eurocorps helicopters specifically, because the helicopters such as the Celtics and the Tigers, they're actually really sort of surprised me in that game. Then we had such things as the Rafale, very, very powerful anti-air fighter. Then we got, you know, the Leopard 285 didn't really show its place in this particular map because it's so like hilly. It can get really easily caught out by HGMs and so on. And HGMs are just a beast on this map. The use of the Fuchs Milans with the Milan 2 squads just really showed in this game. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I'm sorry it was a bit of a short game, but my voice is a bit temperamental at the moment, so I didn't want to go overboard. And I will be bringing more frequent content throughout this week. So look out for more Wargame Red Dragon, look out for some Rome 2, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.